My name is Emily McPhee, and for my literature presentation, I'm going to be discussing I Am the Messenger by Markus Zusak. So the first element I'm going to be discussing about the book is the plot. Now, for those of you who haven't read this novel, I just wanted to go over a brief plot summary of what the novel is about. The main character in the story is Ed Kennedy. He's a 19-year-old cab driver from Australia, and accidentally one day stops a robbery, and as such, labeled as a hero by the press and dead meat by the robber. It's briefly after this time that Ed receives a mysterious card in the mail. It's the Ace of Diamonds. 3 addresses are listed on the back of the card, as well as their times and dates. Curious about this, Ed visits each address, and he learns about the people who live there. He learns about who they are as people and their stories. The first address is a father who sexually assaults his wife and child. Ed helps the wife and child as he threatens the father, and the father abruptly leaves. The second address is a widower who has lost her husband in World War II. Ed helps her by bringing comforter to her home and becoming a friend. He reads to her on a weekly basis. The final address is a 15-year-old cross-country runner who lacks the confidence in herself. Ed brings her confidence in showing her she just needs to believe in herself. After these addresses, Ed receives several more cards in the mail, going through the list of aces: clubs, spades, and hearts. Each card containing ambiguous messages tasking him to help more and more people. One of the final cards, tasks Ed to help him with his friends and family. It forces him to face his situation with his family and come to acceptance about it. It also helps him to learn more about his friends and ultimately bring him closer together. Ed has completed the cards and as such moved on with his life, going through his job as a cab driver, until one day he picks up the bank robber, who then brings Ed towards the mystery man, the person behind Ed's quest. It is through this person's motives that Ed realizes that he does have value as a person and as a man. He just needs to believe in himself and apply himself. So now that we have gone through the plot summary, I wanted to discuss the plot diagram of it. The first element of the plot diagram is the inciting action. I would declare this to be where Ed Kennedy stops the bank robber and is proclaimed a local hero. I would also proclaim this to be the exposition, as we'd also learn about the important characters around Ed, as well as their misgivings and who they are as people. The second element is the rising action. I would say this is where Ed receives his first playing card, as it gets the readers intrigued about Ed's story. Next up is the climax. This is the highest point of action of the story, or where the plot turns. I would proclaim this to be where Ed receives his final cards. It leads him towards his friends and his mother in helping him confront his pain. I would say that this is the climax, as it really has an emotional effect on Ed, and it helps him kind of resolve negative feelings in his life. The following action is where the events that lead to the climax unraveling, or after the climax unraveling. I would say where this Ed has come to sort of acceptance in his life, and he has picked up the bank robber in his cab, and which ultimately leads him towards the mystery man. The resolution is where the story resolves itself and the characters come to a conclusion about their lives. This is where Ed meets the mystery man and explains why he is chosen for this mission. It's where Ed finally comes to a revelation about himself and about his life. Now I would like to move on to the second element of the story, which is characters. So the first character I'd like to discuss is the main character of the novel, Ed Kennedy. At 19, Ed drives a taxi around Australia and plays cards with his 4 best friends on weekends. He has an estranged relationship with his mother following the death of his father. His mother perceives him to be not good enough, and this is partially why Ed perceives himself to be without a future, useless, and a coward. Ed is mostly afraid to tell his best friend Audrey that he is haplessly in love with her. as he refuses to confront his pain and refuses to confront his feelings to the people around him. I would describe Ed to be a dynamic character. Throughout the novel, readers can witness a drastic change in his beliefs and as well as how he grows as a person. He definitely evolves towards becoming a better man. As he completes his mission in helping others, it shows how he evolves himself, learning valuable things about himself as a person and as well as the people around him. He learns to believe in his own self-worth, he finds courage and forgiveness through his journey, and he reconciles with his mother and tells Audrey how he truly feels. The second character I'd like to discuss is the Mystery Man. He is not always shown in the novel, but he is revealed to who he is towards the end. He's by far the most complex character in the novel, and he's the man behind Ed's mission. He sends Ed the cards and towards all the people he helps. His motives are not made clear, though towards the end of the novel, the author reveals that he is sort of a godlike presence, and he targets Ed specifically because he wants to be a better man. I would feel that he represents a higher power, or even the author himself, as he claims in this quote below that he controls all these people, that he plotted this whole story for Ed to learn his lesson. I would say the Mystery Man represents a static character. Even though he is not shown consistently throughout the novel, he can be considered an important character. He is represented as a mentor or a godlike figure throughout the novel. The Mystery Man shows no evolution throughout the novel as he doesn't achieve a personal development, or at least any that is shown. He contains consistent without his mission in trying to get Ed to learn his lesson. Themes. So major themes throughout this novel. This book contains a lot of them. Love and friendship is an important one, as Ed grows closer with his friends and ultimately grows their romantic relationship with Audrey. He also learns to love himself throughout this. Courage and fear. Ed learns to confront his pain, and he also learns his personal pain as to why he is who he is, and he realizes that he is insecure as a man. A big key element in this is where Ed probably confronts his mother about her affair. He learns that his mother doesn't matter in his life if his mother is going to call him useless and use derogatory terms towards him. He learns self-discovery and confidence. He learns to believe himself, and he learns to apply himself towards the person he wants to be. All of this relates back to the element of life, as he realizes he is worth it as a person, and he wants to become a better person. The next element of the book I would like to discuss is the point of view of it. So, point of view of the book. The point of view of the book is first person and is told through the eyes of Ed Kennedy. I feel that the author chose to use first person to kind of give it a personal effect, as the readers can easily see Ed's growth and development. So Ed Kennedy is a reliable narrator as he tells the truth of what happens in the way it happens. He's also very truthful about who he is as a person and how the people around him perceive him. So the final element of the book that I wanted to discuss is the conflict of it. This book includes both types of conflict, internal and external. Internal is the main type of conflict that this book concludes of, as it concludes a lot of person versus self. It shows how Ed dealt himself and how he grows as a person. He experiences a lot of internal change throughout the novel and eventually shows him how he can become a better person. External conflict is more of a minor conflict throughout this novel, as they do sometimes include person versus person. Ed sometimes gets in a little bit of a scuffle throughout the novel, such as people with the bank robber. The bank robber is obviously not too happy with him as he reported him to the police. And there's also his mother. His mother is not a very nice lady and doesn't encourage him. They get into a little bit of a spat throughout the novel as he questions why she doesn't care about him. Now, unfortunately, this concludes our discussion about I Am the Messenger by Marcus Zusak. I want to thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.